Did you lose your money? Are you playing seek and find with your rental income and expenses? Are you unsure of what money is coming and going from your bank accounts? My name is Sasha Lightfoot with Landlord Help Hub. I'm also a bookkeeper with Argent Advisor, and I am going to talk to you about the bank accounts that all landlords should have. Now, the number one rule I would say is do not mix your personal bank accounts with your business or your rental property bank accounts. That can become quickly confusing and unclear, even if you only have one rental property. And if you have multiple rental properties, forget about it. No way are you going to be able to keep those clear. Now, each property should have its own set of accounts. Your goal with these accounts is to track, monitor, and categorize these coming and goings from your bank. So you can have different entities that own your properties. You could have an LLC that has a federal ID number that requires state filings for, operating agreements. Also, now you have to file a beneficiary owner information with FinCEN. You could have all your properties in that type of account. It does have like some tax preparation considerations that you need to have. But it's exactly the same as if you have your accounts in your personal account or a certain type of trust where maybe you only use, like your social security number, and you have same kind of bank accounts. So it really doesn't matter what entity you hold your properties in. The bank accounts that are required for landlords remain exactly the same. Now, if you're using a personal account, it is very easy to create a subtitle on your checks or a nickname online with your bank account. So for example, I use my property address. So my subtitle might be 123 A Street or whatever the address is of my property. This lets me know which property that account belongs to. And also, you can personally, everyone may feel different. I personally like to have all of my bank accounts for all my rental properties at one bank. It just makes my life easier. It's a personal preference. I like that I can have one bank login, see all of my rental properties. It's easy to transfer money between accounts if I need to. That's a whole nother bookkeeping situation that we can talk about later. But it allows me to have that one login, that one bank, that one relationship with a banker, and it just makes sense for me. I would say when you're looking at different banks to set up your landlord accounts with or your rental property accounts with, you might want to look for a bank that has no monthly maintenance fee, or perhaps you can find a bank that requires like a very low minimum balance to avoid the monthly maintenance fees, because you don't want to be paying to keep your money somewhere, especially considering that you really do at minimum need to have 2 bank accounts for every property. I'll talk about a third one that I just have come across in my line of work, but the 2 main ones that you need to have are an operating account and a security deposit account. Now, the operating account is for your day-to-day or your monthly bank transactions. Things like paying a landscaper, paying utilities, paying a property manager, paying your mortgage or your insurance, hopefully collecting tenant rent, and perhaps paying yourself. So that operating account is where most of the transactions will come through. The security deposit account is where the tenant's security deposits sit. It's where it lives for the life of the tenancy. Now, I'm going to link an article that talks about certain requirements for each state for security deposits. Each state has different rules, so you're going to need to know what the rules are for the states where your properties are. For example, some states may require that those security deposit accounts be titled a certain way, or that they're interest bearing and that the accrued interest is given to the tenant when you relinquish the security deposit. So you're going to need to be really mindful of what state your properties are in and what security deposit rules apply to you. Now, that third account I'm going to talk about, I do see from time to time. It's a construction account. It's a construction checking account. Some people use it when they're doing a major renovation for improvements. Maybe they have a certain budget. They want all of the transactions for that renovation to go through that specific account. Perhaps they have a line of credit with the bank, and that's where they put those funds. And it's usually for like an amount of time that they're using that construction account. So that's definitely not something that everyone needs, but it is definitely an account that I do see. So the two main accounts that every landlord needs to have are the operating account and security deposit account. So it's good to think about what bank you might use, because I have heard some landlords say, well, I want to use a local bank so that maybe I have certain tenants that need to walk in and make a deposit in person. So that might be a consideration in your market. You also may want to consider what electronic transfer capabilities your bank offers. Some people like to accept electronic deposits for rent, and you need to make sure that your bank is compatible with some of the major players in the electronic transfer world. And you may want to consider if your tenants are actually giving you checks. How are you going to deposit those? Do you have a branch that's close to you? Does your bank offer mobile deposit? How are you going to deposit those funds? And how are you going to pay your tenant for like returning a security deposit or anything like that? Now, we've talked about the bank accounts that you have to have, but you also have to keep it organized in some way. And having separate bank accounts is definitely the first step in keeping your income and your expenses organized. After this, you're going to also want to use some sort of spreadsheet for tracking your property's income and expense. We offer a spreadsheet for this. You can also consider different accounting platforms if that is more geared towards what you're looking for. But whatever I can suggest is have the separate bank accounts and definitely keep track of it. I'll include some articles below that go more in depth with options for these things. And definitely check out our website and our courses and our articles, and definitely subscribe to our channel.